The global trucking industry produces 1.6 billion metric tons of CO2 emissions per year, accounting for close to 6% of total emissions, according to the Carbon War Room. The next panel will explore how natural gas could supplant diesel fuel in the nation's trucking fleet, thereby reducing carbon emissions and airborne particulates, all while saving fleets money. Here to discuss this topic is T. Boone Pickens in conversation with Ken Losch, moderated by Chip Comins. T. Boone Pickens has been named one of the 100 most influential people by Time magazine. He is the founder of BP Capital, an energy-focused investment firm in Dallas, Texas, and has spent the last 35 years lobbying presidents and legislators to formulate a comprehensive energy plan for America. In 2008, Mr. Pickens worked with the Sierra Club to promote the Pickens Plan, an energy policy aimed at reducing America's reliance on OPEC oil. Ken Losch is a founding member and CEO of ZHRO Power and ZHRO Solutions, a subsidiary of Advanced Green Industries, collectively focused on commercializing a suite of green technologies for use in the heavy truck transportation, stationary power generation, and oil and gas markets. Losch has more than 25 years of real estate development experience and is a founding board member of TRA Cares. I'm honored to welcome Chip Comins, Ken Losch, and Mr. T. Boone Pickens.
Thanks. And we're just going to take a few minutes with T. Boone, our old AREDAY friend, Boone Pickens, before we bring Ken up to join us to just kind of review a little bit of the history. Boone, when we first met, you were in Washington, D.C., and you were going around with Carl Pope, and you were talking about natural gas and how we needed to get our 5 million big trucks off of diesel, this very dirty fuel, and get those trucks running on much cleaner compressed natural gas for the health of the people, but also for the cost curve, and plus energy independence for the United States. Now, what's happened in the years that have ensued?
What do you remember what year that was?
I'd say about 2008.
So we're talking about almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, everything that I said was going to happen happened. But if you go back and look at my predictions I'm 88 years old, so I've made a lot of predictions. And now I've made so many predictions, it's an opportunity for me to make any kind of prediction now and tell you it was, 25 or 30 years ago. But that then we said that natural gas was cleaner, it was cheaper, abundant, and domestic. And I thought, anybody can sell this. Well, I started trying to sell that idea in 1988. And here I am in 2016. And I thought I could sell it in 5 years. But it's what you asked me, your question, it's happening. You are moving to natural gas for heavy duty trucks, but slowly. So if you look back on my predictions, my direction has always been good. My timing is questionable.
Well, you were ahead of the curve. Boone, you've been, I think this might be your fifth trip to AREDAY, and we just were very...
Remember the first time I came, I got booed.
No, you got booned.
Booed. I got booed, and then last year you gave me an award. So it's obvious I was doing better.
Well,
How many of you have been here when I was here? So most of you.
We have a lot of repeat customers.
Yeah. Well, you got Trammell Crow here from Dallas. He makes all, environmental conference.
Well, he's turning you guys in Dallas into a bunch of environmentalists, and we're glad for that.
Well, listen, I qualify as an environmentalist. Well, honestly, I do.
We know you do. And
I'm the only conservative that has ever received an Earth Day award, I think. And it was 1988 at the Living Desert in California.
Really?
Yeah. I was, Sonny Bono was the one that awarded me that.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you do to get that award?
I can't tell you exactly what. Well, I got the award.
Well, I just thought maybe you
okay,
planted
I
a
should
tree or
answer it
something.
this way. Listen, I've received so many awards, I can't remember.
Well, we gave you an award because we appreciate your leadership, Ben. And you know, one of the things that we're really glad is that, you know, we're finally getting to the point now where we really are moving off of coal and towards renewables, and you know, gas, whether you agree or not, has become the bridge to do that. There's some question about the environmental effects of extracting that gas, but there's no doubt about the fact that it is much, much cleaner out of the stack than coal burning. And so,
But it's cleaner than diesel too.
well, not to mention, and you know, that brings up the issue of when we met, you were talking about converting this entire fleet of trucks in our country. But the problem was that we didn't have the torque to pull the load up the hill. And
That's not a problem now.
it's not. And in fact, the next man that's going to come up here and join us, in fact, we ought to bring Ken up right now, I think, has a breakthrough technology that really addresses that. And so this is Ken Losch. You heard his introduction before. And Ken, why don't we just jump right in here with T. Boone on this issue of how the technology that's being developed at Advanced Green Industries under your leadership is now capable of converting our trucking fleet over from diesel over to natural gas and pull the loads where they need to go.
We were having a few minutes in the green room, and I was sharing with T. Boone 7.5 years ago.
Something I want you guys to do is I don't want you to call me T. Boone. Drop the T.
Okay, Boone.
Yeah.
Boone it is.
But T. Boone is my name, but my mother hated it because she was afraid it would become T-Bone.
Oh! Well, actually, wait a minute.
I didn't know I had the permission to call you Boone.
Yeah.
On that note, didn't she tell you a story about some kind of a frog?
Yeah, no, my mother didn't tell me that, but it's timely for this story. And the first time I heard it was in 1986, and the oil industry was really in a tank. And now it's come back around again. The oil industry is, you know, pardon me, but it's a piece of shit, is what it is. I mean, it's a tough business, and people are going broke every day in the business. And this woman's walking down Travis Street in Houston, and in the gutter is a frog. And the frog said, stop, and pick me up. And you would have been startled too. And she was. And she said, did you say that? And the frog said, yes, I'm a talking frog. Pick me up, please. And she picked the frog up, and he said, I've had this horrible spell cast over me, and I was a Texas oil man, and I had this spell cast over me, and I'm now a frog, a talking frog. And she said, mine is unusual. And he said, if you will kiss me, I'll turn back into a Texas oil man. And she opened her purse and started to put him down in the purse. He said, wait. He said, did you understand? If you kiss me, you will turn me back into a Texas oil man. She said, I heard you very clearly, but she said, I can tell you, a talking frog today's worth a hell of a lot more than a Texas oil man.
Which begets the point of a $35 barrel of oil. I heard that their tanker going up to the terminals in Houston, loading up, and they're going off to the equator off of Venezuela, and they're sitting there for 6 months to sell that crude on the spot market. We have filled up every terminal on the planet with oil, and we're over.
That's not correct at all.
Okay, well, that's what I heard, so I'd like you to dispel.
What's
Actually,
correct?
What?
What's the correction?
What is correct is you're drawing oil today,
Right.
out of storage, and the United States is in a decline now. The last month was 28,000 barrels a day. The month before, 80,000 barrels a day. But what you want to focus on is the number of drilling rigs that were working in the United States. 1,609 rigs in November of 14. Today, they're 342. You need at least 750 to replace the declining production. So you're in steep decline, draws out of the deal. You'll be $60, $70 a barrel by the end of the year. So,
Well, we'll see if, if Venezuela and Saudi and the rest of them,
well, Venezuela and Saudi are vastly different. Venezuela is belly up broke. I mean, it's busted. They're down there fighting in the streets, and I saw today where children took graham crackers to school, and a guy climbs over the fence and steals the graham crackers from the children. So, yeah, I mean, I saw that on television, so it must be true.
course.
But what's happened, the Saudis told the United States 3 years ago that they were not going to cut production. Now, people have blamed the disasters fall in the price of oil from $100 a barrel down to $26 on the Saudis. Not fair. It's the United States caused the oversupply. We got so good on horizontal drilling and multiple fracks in the horizontal hole, and we went from 4 million barrels a day in 5 years up to 9.7 million. And that was the oversupply. And the Saudis said, look, we're not cutting. We have always cut. They have balanced the market. 5 times since 1980, you've had oil drop more than half from the peak. And all of them have a similar curve. The Saudis cut production to balance the market. They said, not this time. You are the swing producer, the United States. Okay, that's fair. And the United States, when they balance the market, it's when they start going broke. It's what happened. Those rigs came down. I said in December of 14, I said we will go down 1,000 rigs in 6 months. We did. I mean, they started coming down fast as the oil price dropped. So you're now at a point, today you were $49. It was up $1.30. I don't watch it very close. But Friday, we were up $2. So you'd gotten up to 52, you went back to 47, and now you're back up to 49. You were down at 46, now you're back to 49. But you're going to see the price of oil go up. That's a break for natural gas for that to happen. Because when diesel prices went down, it was hard to sell anybody on natural gas for a truck, right?
Yep, the spread went.
So,
Well, I want to get into this conversation on gas here. And remember, we're talking to a room full of people that really like solar panels and windmills.
Good.
And me
I
at the
like
head of
them
that.
too. I
that
like them
line.
so well, I lost $150 million.
Well, you just timed the market wrong, but that happens in oil and gas too, Boone.
I said my timing had been bad.
You just needed that PTC to come along a little earlier.
That's right.
Well, we just had a PTC extended in some horse trading in December, where the Republicans and Democrats, first time they agreed on anything in the last 8 years, I think, was when the omnibus bill was stuck, and the Democrats wanted a 5-year extension on the production tax credit for solar and wind, and the Republicans wanted to be able to sell oil offshore. And so we said, okay, and they did a deal, and now we like the fact that we have a production tax credit for renewables that's not going to expire for 5
Well, the
years.
Democrats got a better end of the deal than the oil guys did from the Republicans.
Well, that's
It-
okay. I
Oh,
mean,
sure.
every once in a while it goes like that.
It absolutely does. And no, I was complimenting the Democrats because exporting oil isn't that important. And there aren't tankers going to the equator and sitting there, I can tell you. It's way too expensive to put oil in a tanker and have it sit anywhere.
Well, that must be a rumor that somebody started that I just perpetuated. So you heard it from this man here. He's one of our #1 oil men in the country. But I wanted to talk to Ken for a second here about his technology, Boone, because this is something I think that you're very interested in, and that is that we actually can now provide the trucks that haul our goods in all over the United States and services, and we can convert them at a cost point, a price point that is doable for the owners of these rigs, and that is allowing for compressed natural gas to haul up these grades. I mean, that was the problem all along, right, Ken?
Right. Well, I think there's a few things. One is Boone. Thank you for your inspiration 7.5 years ago when I visited you in BP Capital, and you took us through the Pickens plan and an energy independent future for the U.S. It had us create our focus, and there's really 4 premises that we created our company on. I think it's really important for this room. Number 1 is that natural gas is the bridge fuel to renewables. And number 2 is, and this came from Chip, so he refined it for me, but renewables, there won't be a silver bullet, it's silver buckshot for renewables. So to get there, and there'll be a lot of different contributors to having a nice renewable economy. Third is that going green or clean, we consider natural gas clean, not green. But going green or clean, A, can't have a compromise, and B, it has to make or save money. So if it's got a compromise, so if you're going to go buy a new semi-truck for $120,000 in diesel, but your natural gas version is 30% less power but costs $60,000 more per truck, that's a compromise on power and cost.
Are you saying it is less power?
Yes. And number 4, and this is really the most important part for us, is a very important quote we got, is you get paid a lot more when you offer a transformation than you do when you offer a transaction. So how is it transformational to the user? How does it integrate and combine all those points? So you talked about 5 million trucks, and we use about 20 million barrels a day in the US. So almost 3 million are in that 5 million trucking fleet. And so the ability to go to full power, full torque, and to be light on the technology, going to natural gas is 90% cleaner. What we did at ZHRO is we put together a group of partners. One of them is a very large Colorado partner, $3.6 billion company, and we innovated a kit that drops into a diesel engine that gives full power, full torque, diesel cycle combustion, and that's coming out next year. So the kit will be around $20,000. It'll save about $30,000 per truck per year. Now, 90% of truckers are independently owned, and they make an average of $30,000 a year. So when you double a trucker's income, that's transformational. And Boone put us on that path.
Boone.
Sorry, Boone put us on that path, you see? I got my head in my notes here. Sorry about that. Let me put that down here, Boone. So the reason I have the flare-up is the second inspiration is the oil and gas industry. And I'll just bring it back to a bow here, and that is that one of the largest polluters in the world is flare gas. So if you go worldwide, what you're going to find is just this phenomenal hydrocarbon that's being wasted. And again, it isn't green, it's clean. But wasting that hydrocarbon is a large waste. So what we did is we created a box called the ZHRO CMT for carbon metric tons. And we now are launching it. We've got it in the field in Fort Stockton. We've had it in North Dakota, Eagle Ford, Permian, running and operating. We're now in production, and we start in high volume at the end of this year. And what it does is take all the flare gas and convert it to nice, clean methane. We don't freeze it away. We don't ship it away. If you've got pure ethane, you've got pure propane, butane. We break those hydrocarbons into carbon and hydrogen and reshuffle them so they become CH4 and they become usable in trucks, in power generators. And so again, 90% cleaner than diesel, about 87% cleaner than most utility power if they're using more than 50% coal to electrify their wells. And then if you just flip through the slides, I've only got about 40 slides here, 3 hours of presentation.
Yeah, we got.
So that one just quickly is, it shows you, just look at night, go to Sky Truth and tell me there isn't flare happening and that we've captured most of our flare. Okay, look at Mexico, look at North Dakota. If you keep going down, these are just a few, but I'll go all the way to the end because this is where it gets really fun for us. And right here. So how do we put a bow on this? Well, in every gallon of CH4, natural gas, diesel equivalent, there's 4 pounds of very valuable carbon. So these 6 materials on the right-hand side, we're making 11 out of our 12 materials, carbon fiber, carbon graphene foam for filtration, are taken directly from the carbon out of the natural gas before it gets burned in the engine. Okay, so now you've got a green commodity and you're burning the hydrogen in that truck. So as a second stage, you're not going to get the trucker to go to hydrogen today or the power gen, but in a few years you convert them over because the carbon has more value as a durable good than it does going out the tailpipe of CO2. So we have a team. Our partner, Dr. Harry Kloor, has been helping our team significantly, and now we've got 12 amazing products that are coming off that carbon from fossil fuel or renewable methane. It could be methane from a landfill. It could be methane made from a wastewater treatment plant. Okay, so that's sort of stage 2.
Those, the last item from the landfill, is that RIN gas? Renewable?
Yes. I believe so. There's a couple of RIN experts right back there.
Okay.
1 finger up if it is, and 2 fingers if it isn't.
So.
Yeah, it is.
But RIN is the cleanest, isn't it?
Okay.
Can I say one more thing? Just one really quick thing. And Sally and Chip, thank you. This has been just this morning, the connectivity, the ability to get together with people who are out there doing things and connecting. It's been really amazing. So thank you.
I want to
and
make
your
a
team.
point here. So some of you in the audience might be wondering, well, what the heck is Chip doing up there with flare wells on the screen at a renewable energy summit? And the fact of the matter is that we all of us that drive a car or fly in a plane or heat a home or cool a home use fossil fuels, and we have to own that, number one. Number two, we're not going to get from here to there unless we can work with the fossil industry and show them that they can make a hell of a lot more money by going clean every step of the way to where we actually end up with 100% renewable energy infrastructure. Now, if that happens in 50 years,
Well, can you get to 100%?
Well, we think we can, but we haven't yet.
But it's the bridge. The point is that by showing and you use the carbon from fossil fuels and then switch to renewable and use the hydrogen from the renewable side. And that happens over time. That's the point of that last slide.
But don't you need a base fuel for the...
Sure, but it can be renewable. It can be solar. Look, the silver buckshot, as Chip puts it, is going to be a combination of many different types of energies. And having a liquid fuel, you can make a beautiful methanol that has a high density from renewable CH4, natural gas, and that can be put straight into trucks, that can be put straight into cars. And it can be made from a renewable source, 97% cleaner than gasoline or diesel. And it can be made from purely...
How much cleaner than natural gas?
About 7%. So
But it is cleaner.
It is cleaner.
So
And-
you can actually get rid of all the fossil fuels.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's buckshot, though, but we have to get there first.
Well,
Some people in this room and some people I work with want to get there tomorrow. but we need that transition period. And it has to make money, and it can't have a compromise.
And it's also about being able to store the energy. Renewables are intermittent, and now we're hitting our capacity on grid parity with storage. There's
Right.
tremendous breakthroughs with lithium technology and many other. So we're really on this cusp of being able to take the sun or the wind and contain it and use it when we need it. But we still have to get from here to there. And that's why, you know, a worldwide economy that's pegged to the extraction and burning of fossil fuels, coal, gas, and oil, and that's the way it's been for 100 years. And that's how we all have our modern life set up, with renewables now, you know, gangbusters. But if we're 10%, I'd be shocked worldwide. So that means we're 90% fossil, everybody, just, you know.
Well, on fossil though, listen, I'm not opposing you on what we're trying to do, but 95 million barrels of oil a day is what's produced. You agree with me on that? And 70% of it goes to transportation fuel. So, you know, and now
Here.
Tom Steyer, you know Tom?
Yeah.
He fits in this group, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. He's been here before. He's an AREDAY alumni.
Yeah, and Tom, I asked Tom, I said, look, Tom, you want to get to you know, renewables. Tell me what you do about 70% of 95 million barrels a day goes to transportation fuel. And he said, we turn it over to the government, and they will come up with the answer for us with their vast research.
Boom.
And I said, that can't be the answer. Turn anything over to the government.
The math is very simple. If you take a pound, there's 4 pounds in a gallon diesel equivalent. You take a pound of carbon out of that natural gas, and you turn it into carbon fiber. The carbon fiber, 60% comes from oil, and you take that at $2 a pound, and there's $8, and now the carbon's worth more than the fuel. That's the future.
Well, that's...
And you burn the hydrogen.
Well, that's what you
And that's
try to do.
happening today.
That's what you're trying to do. But now take that same conversation, that to get to ethanol, you use corn.
Correct.
So you start off with something better than you end up with.
You're right. I was
That's
talking methanol, not ethanol.
I know you
Yeah,
were.
okay.
I'm just saying with that.
I like my popcorn.
What?
I like my popcorn.
Well, I like your argument for sure. You turn it into something better than you started off with. That's the way to make money.
He said we only have 1 more hour.
Oh, okay. Well,
Boone, before we leave the stage, tell us, I'd just like to give you the last word, and tell us where the Pickens plan is today. Where is it going?
okay, we did some real good as far as education was concerned. That natural gas one is cleaner, it's cheaper, and it's domestic. And it's domestic means it is ours. We haven't been able to accomplish get off of the OPEC oil. Get on your own resources. America has more resources than any other country in the world. And today, somebody told me there have been 3.5 million wells drilled in the United States. I didn't know that. I always say there's 5 million wells drilled in the world, and over half of them have been drilled in the United States. Why is that? It's because we have the best scientists of any place in the world. When I got out of school in 1951, yes, they had schools back in 51. As a geologist, that 95% of all the oil found in the world was found by Americans. Right now, today, it's the same thing. Americans have found 95% of the oil in the world. I think that is somewhat unusual. I've never seen an industry captured that way. But we are the best. And you say, well, Shell Oil Company, that's Netherlands, The Hague. You look at the Shell engineers and geologists, they're Americans is what they are.
Well, I guess American ingenuity is where we're going to end this conversation, and that's a good place, because that also is about solar. We invented it, and the Chinese have figured out manufacture it at a cost point where it's being implemented all over the planet. It's transforming the very nature of energy production itself. So I just want to thank you both very much for coming to the summit and adding your wisdom to this room. Thank you.
Thanks for
very
having
much.
us.